On this episode of Locked On Angels, the Angels made some big boy moves yesterday. They released Mickey Moniak. They announced that Ryan Johnson and Kyren Paris made the team. Oh, and they played one final game against the Dodgers, and Jack Kochanowicz looked awesome. We've got all the details. It's time to get locked on with Mike and John, and this is Locked On Angels.
You are Locked On Angels, your daily Los Angeles Angels podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Thanks for making Locked On Angels your first listen of the day. You can find us anywhere you get your podcasts, including Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and SiriusXM by searching Locked On Angels. And if you'd like to get back to the Super Halo Bros for all the Super Halo content, here's some things that you can do. Leave us a rate and a review on Apple Podcast. If you're watching on YouTube, hit that thumbs up button. And if you're not subscribed already, please subscribe and become a Locked On Everydayer. And whether you're watching or listening, come over to YouTube and leave a comment. It's one of the best ways to get in touch with us and be a part of the conversation.
Thanks for being here for this episode of Locked On Angels, where it's your team every day. You've got the Frisch Brothers here with you, a.k.a. the Super Halo Bros. My name is John, and that's my brother Mike.
And my name is Mike, and that's my brother John.
Hey, we're here 5 days a week, every weekday, Monday through Friday, however you want to slice it, talking Angels baseball. And what do you want to talk about?
What do you want to talk about?
Is there anything to cover on today's show? No, we got a lot to cover on today's show. In fact, Ryan Johnson made the opening day roster, and that means some familiar names did not make the opening day roster. We're going to talk about the Angels versus Dodgers, what we watched in the game last night, what we were looking for. I'm all verklempt. I'm all flustered because so much happened. My head's still spinning from yesterday. Mike, let's talk about all the big moves that happened, including Mickey Moniak getting released. Let's talk about it.
Yeah, it makes him an unrestricted free agent. He can sign with anybody. Remember, he won his arbitration case in the offseason and was set to make $2 million. And then according to Jeff Passan, he tweeted that the release means that the Halos will only owe Moniak around $484,000. So Artie Moreno loves that, right?
I don't think I've ever, in all the years that I've worked since high school, I don't think I've sniffed $483,000 in my life.
Right. Now,
cumulatively. Yeah.
Right. He did tweet some clarity. He said, because it's so close to opening day, the collective bargaining agreement stipulates that a player would receive 45 days of pay out of the 186-day schedule. So that's why he's getting that money. And again, he can sign with any team. And John, this was extremely unexpected.
Yeah.
But I don't think it's surprising. And it's because Moniak has really struggled this spring. In 52 at-bats, he hit 192, had a 241 on base, and a 606 OPS, 2 homers, 9 RBIs. Really good for the Halos in 2023. Remember that? 14 home runs, 280 batting average, 802 OPS, had a 114 OPS plus through 85 games. There's a lot of questions about how real those numbers were because, remember, he didn't walk a lot that season and was swinging a lot that season. And last year, his production did fall off. He had a career-high 124 games, hit 14 home runs, but batted just .219 and had a 646 OPS. For his career, he's slashing .230 with a .272 and a .402 slugging percentage. And that slash line is through 275 major league games. Now, Wash did speak about Mickey Moniak, and he said this is a very tough guy and a very good guy, but this decision was tough. He meant a lot to us. But again, there's always competition. There's always the possibility of someone coming in. And this spring, it was Kyren Paris, and he deserves to be here. We're going to talk about Paris in just a moment. But Johnny, fill in this blank. The Angels moved Moniak because blank.
Blank is the Angels moved Moniak because nothing changed. Mike, it's the same Mickey Moniak we had at the end of 2023 through 2022 when we got him for Noah Syndergaard, and then 2023 and 2024. Nothing really changed. And look, he was a competent center fielder, and so it made sense to have that conversation of, is he going to be patrolling out there? But when you look at it, nothing really changed with Mickey Moniak. We've had a lot of everydayers say, look, I know that there's a competition between Joe Adell and Mickey Moniak of who's going to get the most playing time out there. But the fact is that when you look at somebody like Adell, from where he was just a year ago to where he went after last year, including being one of the best right fielders in terms of defensive runs saved. And I know Gold Glove voting is sometimes just kind of a I don't know, pageantry. It's kind of like
Sure.
the Golden
Yeah.
Globes, right? People just pay to get those awards, right? And so for Joe Adell to actually make significant improvements, to hit 20 plus bombs, I know the average isn't great, and that's something that he needs to be working on. But I've noticed throughout the spring, Joe's been working on not swinging at junk, and that's been a huge part of his problem. I think that the more Joe makes the pitchers pitch to him by laying off that stuff, the more he's going to hit for a higher average and hit for more power as well. So when I boil it down, the Angels moved on from Mickey Moniak because nothing really changed with Mickey Moniak. We didn't see him take a step forward. Now, I think you could make the argument that perhaps he didn't get enough consistent playing time. We all know playing time, but you and I have made the case that some of Mickey's best months of the season came when he was in there every day. And that was usually when guys got hurt, Trout's not in the outfield, right? That sort of thing. And so I think that there's a case to be made that maybe Mickey didn't quite get the chance that he deserved. At the same time, I think if you look around this roster, it's very exciting to have Kyren Paris. It's very exciting to see the steps that Joe Adell has taken. So I think that's why they moved on from Mickey Moniak.
This decision opened up a spot on the 40-man for someone, and that someone was Tim Anderson. And we also learned, as you mentioned, Kyren Paris made the roster too. And Wash said to expect him to play about twice a week. He's going to back up Adell in center, going to play some infield backup. Role could expand if he performs well. Wash also made it sound like Paris made the Moniak decision a reality because of his play. We're going to talk about this roster and what Perry had to say about it in just a moment. But this is from Michael Huntley on Twitter. Perry on Kyren Paris. He said that you can sit here and say he's a young player and he needs to play every day. And I understand that. But from a messaging standpoint, when you ask somebody to do something and they follow through, even enhance what you've asked them to do, and they come in and they have arguably the best camp in that room, looking at the underlining things he accomplished, we felt he should be on this team. I love what Perry had to say there. There's another quote we'll share with you in just a moment, John, but give us a glimpse at what this opening day roster is going to look like now.
Okay, before I do that, can I just put my speculative hat on, right, and say that, Perry saw what Wash was saying about Kyren Paris in spring, about, big boy decisions and big boy moves and things like that. And Perry said, Wash, we need Kyren Paris on this team.
Right.
If you don't like him in the infield, then he's played plenty of outfield. He might even be a better outfielder than infielder, right, Mike? And even though he's been a shortstop, kind of up the middle by trade, look, the fact is, I think Perry kind of, nudged Wash a little bit and said, you need to put this guy on this team. Who can we get rid of to make this happen?
Yeah.
And the fact is that, I think Perry is addressing all the concerns about, well, doesn't Paris need consistent playing time? And I like what Perry had to say that, you definitely need that, but to let this guy know that, hey, you did everything we wanted you to do this spring.
Yeah.
They even mentioned it on the broadcast last night, even going to see Aaron Judge's hitting coach over the offseason. This is a guy who wants to play, Mike, and this is a guy who wants to be on the major league club, and he did everything that he was asked of and then some.
Yeah. Now, before we get to the opening day roster, I want to add, just to jump off of your point, what Perry said about these roster moves. And again, second quote that I've loved from him from yesterday, he said this on the roster moves: I'm big on your actions speak louder than your words. And when we tell our players, the players that we feel are going to help us win games are the ones that are going to make the team, I'm big on following through with that. Now, here's why those quotes are so important. It's because we heard from Wash last year that if you're not going to be on the field and perform, then we're going to take you off. And then there was a lot of leniency last year.
So much leniency.
A part of that leniency could have been Wash and his, I want my big boys out there and I don't want the young guys to really mess it up. A part of that leniency was because there was a lot of injuries. A part of that leniency was probably because they didn't have much depth. But a lot of everydayers and a lot of Angel fans were really frustrated. You and I were a bit frustrated with come on, let's pull the trigger on some of this stuff. John, the way that they've really built this roster, they're able to make those decisions and pull the trigger on that stuff now. And they're able to have Oh, guess what? Competition. They're able to have guys go out there and compete for the 5th starter, compete for the infield position, compete for the 4th outfield position. We've not had that in so many years. It's been like, well, it's Mickey Moniak and he's got to go out there. And I know people were disappointed that Moniak was released, but the reality is this guy just wasn't hitting at the rate that they would want him. Now you might say, well, what about Adele? The points you made about Adele give Adele an edge because he's really improved defensively. And we've seen him make the adjustments from June and July on to improve offensively. We saw him during spring, low batting average. He's got to figure that out, but he had the second most home runs to Jorge Soler and the second most RBIs to Jorge Soler. And so this guy is a guy that they believe in. He's athletic. He's able to play multiple positions, and he's been somebody they can count on to come through in big moments. And so that's why they made that decision. Competition, man, it's so important for baseball teams. It's so important for sports teams. And to have depth is so important for the Angels that they just haven't had the last few years. So it gave them the ability to go, this guy's good, but this guy is better, and we're going to go with who's better.
So far, according to the, everything that happened yesterday, the opening day roster starting to look like this. In the infield, you've got Sean Noel over at first base, Kevin Newman up the middle, Ren Hefo can play second and third, maybe even some short. You got Tim Anderson playing primarily second base, maybe some short. Yoan Moncada, which we just found out before we started this recording, he passed all of his tests, Mike, so it should be Moncada on opening day as well. And then Nicky Lopez was signed to a major league deal. We'll talk about him more in segment 2. Behind the dish, Logan O'Hoppe, Travis d'Arnaud, no surprises there. Taylor Ward, Adele, Trout, Soler, and Kyren Paris make up the outfield. This is a roster with a lot of possibilities and a lot of guys who I think can contribute and make some things happen. And I think that's also key, Mike, because in the third segment, we're going to be talking about, of course, Kochanowicz versus the Dodgers, but then the offense has been kind of putrid over the last few weeks. And I think that you've got some different looks in there, some different voices, some different hitters, things like that. That's going to be key as the Angels begin the season. Hey, I want to thank you for making Locked On Angels your first listen of the day. Coming up, Ryan Johnson makes the opening day roster without pitching in a minor league game, and the Angels signed Nicky Lopez. We're going to tell you all about it coming right up.
Can't wait to sit at Angel Stadium and watch Kyren Paris and Mike Trout and Ryan Johnson and all these players play on the field while I'm eating wonderful pistachios, John. And I love wonderful pistachios. It's a snack that's both delicious and nutritious, filled with a good source of protein. Wonderful Pistachios is one of the highest protein nuts. Each 1 ounce serving has 6 grams of protein, giving you over 10% of your daily value. Plus, they're packed with fiber and better for you unsaturated fats to help keep you going all day long. Maybe you could pick up the no shell variety. It's the perfect grab and go snack for a busy day. And if you love cracking open every shell for that satisfying crunch, the in-shell options are a classic favorite. So get snackin' and get crackin' with a snack that packs a protein punch. Visit wonderfulpistachios.com to learn more.
This is the Locked On Podcast Network, where it's your team every day. Thanks for making Locked On Angels your first listen of the day. Look, we had like some bad news, some good news. It was like my emotions were being played with by the Halos yesterday, Mike. I was trying to keep up with everything on Twitter and make our breaking news videos. It was just a busy, head-spinning day. But one of the greatest things to come out of yesterday's news was that Ryan Johnson is reported to make the opening day roster. He did that without spending a single day in the minor leagues. Now, remember, compensatory pick for Shohei Ohtani, a second-round pick, technically, and he signed for $1.75 million. Didn't pitch, and that's usually how it goes with guys who finish their season in, springtime, summertime. They usually don't pitch again until the next year so that they take some time off from working their arm. The last player to debut with no minor league time was Garrett Crochet with the White Sox in 2020, Mike, and that's because, like with Joe Adele, there were no minor leagues going on, and it was just like intra-squad practice squads that were playing each other. Now, Adele did have time in the minors before 2020. Crochet did not. So he was able to make his pitching debut that year. But listen to this. The first player to make their MLB debut from each draft of the last 4 years has come from the Angels.
Yeah.
In 2021, it was Chase Silseth. Zach Neto was the first one to make it in 2022. Nolan Shonowell made it, like a month and a half after he was drafted and debuted with the Angels. And then Ryan Johnson will make it, as well as Cam Smith, who will debut for the Astros. Remember, he was traded from the Cubs to the Astros for Kyle Tucker. So a couple of quick draft picks making their way to the majors. Can I just say, I think it's hilarious that if you go and look at the social media response to Cam Smith, it's, oh, what a fun move. That's exciting. Da, da, da. I even saw somebody, oh, what another win for Astros development. Has he even developed with the Astros? He was with the Cubs up until a few months ago, right?
Right.
And second, everyone's saying, oh, here, typical Angels doing this and that, and rushing people up. Okay, all right. If there wasn't confirmation bias before, I am fully on board with the fact that people look at the Angels and go, oh my gosh, the Angels. And then they'll look at literally anyone else, Mike, point their finger and go, oh, look what they're doing. They're doing so good over there. Da, da, da. That should be the thumbnail pose for me of this. Oh, look at over there. Look at what they're doing. The Astros are they're bringing up somebody. So it's just absolutely ridiculous that that's the contrast that we see because they have a halo on their hat. That's my rant over.
Right. Well, and then the idea that the Angels have rushed prospects to the major league level. Zach Neto has been pretty great. And Nolan Shonowell has been pretty good.
Just a 5 WAR player last year, 20 plus home runs, 30 stolen bases. But Zach Neto came up too quickly. Shut up.
you gotta check out Cam Smith finding out that he actually made the roster. That was awesome.
Don't get me wrong. I'm not dissing Cam Smith at all. I just think the disparity between what the two exact things that two teams literally did have completely different reactions.
Now, Ryan Johnson said this on making the Angels roster. It's a surreal moment, just unreal. I'm just going to go out there, do my job, and if the guys up top think I'm ready for it, then I'm just going to go with it. And I love that. We got another quote from him later on in this segment. But I do also want to mention, John, that you were correct. Quijada and Perdomo, they were DFA'd, and so we'll see where they end up landing. My gut says that Quijada doesn't get claimed and ends up maybe in the minor leagues. Perdomo, he's probably going to be claimed. He's a pretty good arm, 6'8", but I wouldn't be surprised if he ends up in the minor leagues as well. However, this now means that the bullpen is going to be Kenley Jansen, Ben Joyce, Ryan Zefferjon, Brock Burke, Ryan Johnson, Garrett McDaniels, Reed Detmers, and Ian Anderson. So, John, I'm going to do it again to you. Fill in the blank. This bullpen looks blank.
This bullpen looks way different than it did 3 days ago, Mike. And that's because Suarez, Quijada, and Perdomo were going to be in this bullpen to start the season. I was willing to let Perdomo see what happened there, right? I feel like, you know what? If they're going to get rid of anybody, it's got to be Quijada and keep Perdomo. In fact, I even thought maybe they'll start Ryan Johnson in the minors so that, when there is inevitably an injury, that they don't lose an arm or a body. And so you have Perdomo if you need him. You have Ryan Johnson to call up. Don't forget that we have Hans Kraus in AAA who can also be optioned up, and they might be able to option somebody down. So this gives the Angels some freedom, especially if, and I want to warn everybody right now, think about it this way. Ben Joyce, let's say he gets an 8th inning and he throws, 40 pitches, right? That sounds absurd. But in that situation, they might, quote unquote, option Ben Joyce to AAA, bring up Hans Kraus to finish out, maybe a 3-game set over the weekend, right? Because you're not going to have Ben Joyce come back out and throw more. And that's not actually I doubt that Ben Joyce actually gets on the plane and goes to Salt Lake City, right? And I think that you're going to see, that's just a random example, but guys with options who are exhausted from the game before can be optioned down, quote unquote, to bring somebody up. That's not a luxury the Angels have had over the last couple of years, because Jaime Barria was out of options, Jose Suarez was out of options, Perdomo was out of options, Quijada was out of options. So all these guys that needed to, have reinforcements and refreshers come up to take their place, it just couldn't happen. So, Mike, the bullpen you just listed off, this bullpen looks way different than it did 3 days ago.
Yeah.
And by the way, I forgot to mention it. Let's not discount the fact that Garrett McDaniels also made this team.
Yeah.
And I think that's fantastic. And the way he looked against the Dodgers 2 nights ago, he totally earned it, in my opinion.
Yeah. But one final thought on Ryan Johnson. Here's why I love him, John. He was asked about his connection to Shohei because he was the compensatory pick after striking him out in the second game of this series. And he said, I'm not focused or worried about that. Any of that stuff, it just doesn't matter to me. Told you, this guy just doesn't care. This guy wants to play baseball, and that's what I love about him. He's going to be a perfect Scott Shields for this bullpen.
Ryan, is that the same shirt you were wearing yesterday? I guess. I don't know.
Yeah.
That's the attitude I want from my reliever.
It's a meatball stain. Sorry.
Yeah, exactly.
One other note, Johnny, and you mentioned in the first segment, Nicky Lopez was signed yesterday. That kind of came out of nowhere.
Right.
1 year, $850K. Locked On Hall of Famer Brent McGuire tweeted this, that Nicky Lopez is an elite defender at shortstop and second base. Since 2019, his 61 outs above average are tied for fourth most in baseball. His offense, however, has been quite bad outside of 2021, where he had a 744 OPS. He's a career 284 hitter, 312 on base, 314 slugger, and he's played in 670 games. And then this spring, John was 9 for 20 with 3 runs scored, 4 walks, 2 Ks, no home runs or RBIs, had a 450 average with the Cubs, primarily a second base and shortstop, can play third, and has played 4 games at first base along with 2 in the outfield.
Yeah, the career 248 hitter is not going to see a lot of playing time to start the game, maybe, on a getaway game or a Sunday afternoon game. But the fact is, and I think everybody should know, Nicky Lopez is a late innings defensive replacement. And so, yes, he's primarily up the middle at second and short, which means that he's got some experience playing third base. So he could easily make that move over there. But the guy's elite. He's an elite defender. So whether he's replacing Rengifo at third or somebody at second base like Tim Anderson, or maybe, he's taking over shortstop so that Newman can go to first base or third base, whatever the case may be, this Nicky Lopez move is not anything to be worried about. I think as soon as Zach Neto is back, then Nicky Lopez might be off this team. But the fact is, he's a late inning defensive replacement, not a huge deal. And again, that's something that I think the Angels can definitely benefit from. Go look at some highlights and you'll feel a whole lot better about this. So again, tons of moves yesterday, including who's going to be on the roster, who's not going to be on the roster. The 2 bullpen pieces who I didn't think deserved to be here are gone, in addition to Jose Suarez earlier this week. This is a team that feels like they're being serious about doing something in 2025, right? Big boy decisions, right, Mike? Big boy pants, big boy hat, big boy decisions. And the fact is, I think that we have the makings of a narrative shifting season on our hands if the Angels can take this energy and momentum into 2025. People might be having a different conversation about the Halos after this season.
It happens to everybody. They look in their bank account and then they go, whoa, where did all my money go? And it's a problem for most people. It's a problem for my brother John, and we're trying to work that through. But he can find help on Monarch Money, and so can you. They're your personal CFO, giving you full visibility and control over your finances. Monarch Money isn't just a budgeting app. It's a complete financial command center. You can track your accounts, investments, and spending all in one place so you can stop managing your money and start building your wealth. Managing money with your partner is smoother than ever. You can track shared and personal accounts, you can set goals, and you can stay on the same page without all of the stress. So take control of your finances and don't open up that app and go, where did all my money go? Let Monarch Money help. Use our promo code LOCKEDONMLB when you visit monarchmoney.com. You're going to get 50% off your first year immediately, half off, saving you money and then helping you build wealth. monarchmoney.com, and our promo code is LOCKEDONMLB for half off your first year.
And today's show is brought to you by our friends at Supply House. You can get all the supplies you need from the site that's made for the skilled trades at supplyhouse.com. Whether you're into plumbing, HVAC, electrical work, Supply House is the reliable way to order products online. I had somebody come over and save my air conditioning unit outside, Mike, yesterday. So maybe they could use a little Supply House to help somebody out like me. But they have a very easy to use website, helpful resources, the latest product info. It's all there to help you get the job done right. They have a complete inventory of over 200,000 parts from 400 plus top brands. You're going to find exactly what you need delivered fast from coast to coast. And if you need help with an order, they have expert customer support and industry leading service. You get to talk to a real person every time. No robots, no AI. And for trade pros looking for an extra edge, they have a free Trade Master program with exclusive perks and a dedicated phone line, free shipping, and discounts on every order. Thousands of skilled professionals are already taking advantage, and now it's your turn. So join the Trade Master program today at supplyhouse.com/TM and start ordering plumbing, HVAC, and electrical supplies with just a few clicks. Plus, use the promo code SH5 for 5% off your order at supplyhouse.com.
The last of the pretend games were last night for the Halos.
Make believe.
As we watched the game, we were just watching for some specific things. I was excited to see Jack Kochanowicz pitch. It was his final start of the spring and his first start since we learned that he was going to be starter number 5 for the Halos. So what were we looking for? Well, we were looking for how Jack would manage pitching against this powerful Dodgers lineup, and more importantly, how Jack would get outs. So, Johnny, how'd he do?
Well, 7 innings pitched, 2 hits. One of those was a home run, 2 earnings on the home run, 2 walks, 3 strikeouts. Mike, 76 pitches.
This is why I love it. That start. That's why he's the 5th starter. I mean,
right.
Unbelievable. This is going to be what he does all season long. We're going to be so tired of going, well, he only went 7 innings, right? Like, I mean, this is just going to be, I'm going to love this guy for the rest of this season. It's going to be awesome.
I would love to see him get a complete game or 2. In fact, you know what? I might pick him up in fantasy and get that CG.
Nobody knows, and nobody can spell his name anyway. They can't find him. So
where is he? I can't find him. They can't spell it right. He's not on Yahoo Fantasy. What the heck? So, Mike, regarding how he got his outs, for the flyouts, it was the tale of 2 exit velocities. For example, 63-mile-an-hour hit off the bat of Tommy Edman for a little flyout, and then 103 miles per hour off the bat for a flyout from Freddie Freeman. It's stuff that makes you go, all right, Jack Kochanowicz getting some lazy flyouts. And then there's some stuff that makes you kind of hold your breath a little bit, because that Freeman flyout kind of scared me a little bit. So really a tale of 2 exit velocities there. I think that's going to be something we're going to have to roll with the punches with when it comes to Jack Kochanowicz. It's going to look like a lot of long flyouts and a lot of little flyouts, but also he can get taken for a ride like he did on that home run. Now, I will talk about that home run because it was kind of an odd one, but Mike, what about the ground outs?
Yeah, defense looked good behind Kochanowicz, and they're going to have to be good because he gets a lot of ground balls. Even had a nice ground ball double play after walking Max Muncy in the 4th inning. John, 11 ground ball outs. That's his game. And then strikeouts. His first K came against Freddie Freeman, got him to look down the middle with a sinker, and then a swing and a miss with a 4-seam above the zone. His second K came against Miguel Rojas, who went down looking, which was a great at bat for Kochanowicz. And then third K was against Chris Oakey on 3 curveballs, swinging on the strikeout. And that's how he got them out. Now, let's go back to that home run. I want you to talk about what happened there.
It was a sinker quite literally in on the hands of Will Smith. And somehow he hit it the opposite way over the yellow line for a 2-run home run. And my mind was blown by his ability to not only get like a jam shot the other way and hit that one out. So I really don't think it was a bad pitch. It was like up in Smith's kitchen, and he was just able to hit it out
Strong.
like Will Smith hit Chris Rock. So there you go. That's what happened. So, Mike, quick question for you: 2 runs over 7 innings. Is that going to be enough for the Angels to get the job done offensively?
They have to, especially this season.
Yeah.
They have to. This guy is pitching lights out, and these were the games that he lost last year, or he didn't make it into the decision. And then last night, they still struggled to string anything together against Dustin May. The one run that they scored was in the 4th inning. Jorge Soler was hit by a pitch. I yelled at the dinner table, by the way. And then when the ball came back and hit, was it off of Tim Anderson's bat?
Yeah.
When it came back and hit Dustin May in the back, I was like, that's what you get. Right? I was talking to the TV last night. Rengifo walked, and then Logan O'Hoppe had a really nice at bat, hit a curveball to left that scored Soler. But then, John, there was just, again, a lot of strikeouts in this game, right?
Yeah, 6 strikeouts by Dustin May to the Angels regulars. Taylor Ward had 2 looking. Taylor Ward had the bat on his shoulder all night. I can't buy Taylor Ward stock if he doesn't swing at pitches in the zone. What are you doing there, T. Ward? So he had 2 looking. He did get a nice little poke to the gap, but Andy Pajes ran that down. Shawnuel had a strikeout. Anderson had 2, but one of those was against Dustin May. Trout had a strikeout, and Kevin Newman had a strikeout. Now, I don't want to take anything away from the fact that Tyler Glasnow and Dustin May are 2 of the best strikeout pitchers in the game. Dustin May has nasty stuff, but here's my concern. Are we in for a typical Angels April where it takes the offense time to get rolling? They get in the groove. They're like the World Series winners, 6-14 in April, right? How do they get out of this funk before the calendar flips to April, Mike?
John, Ward was watching everything last night, and he's got to swing the bat. He's proven the two games before that if he swings the bat, gets a fastball, like take advantage of that, right? Yeah. And he did hit one hard into the gap. Pajes ran it down, and then Tim Anderson was swinging at everything.
He needs to be way more patient up there.
You made this roster, so act like it. Right. Yeah. And then Shawnuel still grounding out to the right side. And there was a moment where Gooby even said, here's one where you can turn on, but he did turn on it, but he turned on it on the ground.
Into the ground.
They just need to figure out how to get that ball into the outfield or find a hole. Now, we're going to talk a bit more about some of the things, one specific thing that they're going to need to do tomorrow. I won't tease it until it's time to tease it, but there are some things that this team needs to do, because you can't waste a pitching performance like Jack Kochanowicz and what he did. And he's going to do this. This is what he's going to do. He's going to go at least 5. He's probably going to go 7. He's going to throw 80 pitches, and he's going to give up 2 runs on 5 hits. That should be more than enough for this offense to win the game. Get 3 runs. Come on, fight for it. Do something, right? And so that's where I'm a bit hesitant. This team has to get off to a good start if they're going to have a good season this season, because if they get off to a bad start, they're going to have to climb out of a hole, and they're going to have to do the same thing over again. The organization, the leadership, Perry Manassian specifically, has set them up for success. Now they need to actually live in that success and prove why those decisions were the right decisions.
Yeah, they got to be able to string some offense together, and they have to be able to step up, because again, they each have something that they can do differently, and I think that that's going to be crucial to beginning this 2025 season.
Hey, thanks for making Locked On Angels your first listen of the day. Now, for your second listen, check out Locked On Fantasy Baseball. Matt and Dom are going to help you get through the year and win your league. You can find their show on YouTube or wherever you listen to podcasts.
Hey, be sure you give us a follow on Twitter at Locked On Angels, at Super Halo Bros on Twitter and Instagram. Whether you're watching or listening, come on over to today's show on YouTube, get in the comments section. We'd love to hear from you. We want to know what you think of all these roster moves that took place yesterday. Mike, what do we have on deck for Thursday's show?
This one's been percolating behind the scenes for a bit, and we're going to talk about it tomorrow. One improvement that we must see from each of the starting 9. Guys, pay attention tomorrow on Locked On Angels.
They already listened to us about Quijada and Perdomo, so
we
know Perry's a secret Locked On Angels fan. So we hope you'll come back and join us for that conversation. Until then, my name is John, and that's my brother Mike.
And my name is Mike, and that's my brother John.
Thanks for being here with us, everybody, and we'll see you back here on Thursday.
We should get a bonus or something, like a kickback, like a percentage. This guy gets DFA'd, we get 10%.
Get some tickets or something, man. Come on.